We have a massive compilation of scoops to go over for both Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day. They're coming from acclaimed insider that we've talked about a couple of times on the channel before at least. They claim to have a lot of knowledge about the set and the cast for Avengers Doomsday and know people who are on the set. Therefore, they get some information about some of the scenes and some of the actors who are on the set filming certain scenes as well. They've been pretty active on Reddit, and thanks to the Reddit user Pomojima the Dreamer, they've compiled pretty much everything that they've said, stuff that's already been verified, stuff that we're waiting to find out about, and it's a massive amount of information about both Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day. And based on what this person has said, it does seem like Spider-Man is going to be in Avengers Doomsday, despite us not really knowing if he was going to be or not. But I mean, if you're Marvel, Spider-Man is your biggest character and is arguably the most popular superhero of all time. And his movie comes out right before Doomsday and should lead into Doomsday. It just makes sense that Spider-Man would be in the film, and according to one of his reports on Reddit, he is. This user is UnluckySinger3047, and of course take everything with a grain of salt, but a lot of what he has said already has been verified and confirmed in some way, shape, or form, which we talk about in this as well. And I'll just start off with what they reported about Spider-Man. They state the stunt double for Tom Holland is in the movie, speaking about Avengers Doomsday. So if the stunt double is there, then Spider-Man himself is most likely there, obviously. And they state Spider-Man has an Avengers Infinity War type intro where he's basically in the middle of going about his day until something world-threatening spurs him into action. And it's noted here, and is very worth mentioning, that Spider-Man Brand New Day is filming at the same time as Avengers Doomsday, right next to the set. The sets are very close to each other, which means that it would be very easy to simply borrow Tom Holland for the bigger production for Doomsday when he was needed / if he was needed, whereas most scenes involving Spider-Man could be done without needing him on set as long as he's in full costume, which does make a lot of sense. You could just simply have his stunt double film in full costume and you can't see behind the mask, so it doesn't really matter. We know it's Peter Parker. And this is not the first time that we've heard about this. We actually heard in the past from a couple of different scoopers that Tom Holland himself is not going to film a lot for Avengers Doomsday, but his stunt double would. So that's not necessarily confirmed at this point in time, but it does seem very likely that Tom Holland is going to be in the movie as Spider-Man. But let's dive into some scoops that have been what they call verified already. Two teams of Avengers meet the Fantastic Four, and a brawl between them ensues. And they reported this before we got the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts showing the Fantastic Four coming to our universe. So that checks out. Another thing they've said is there's a key sequence involving the TVA. And Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, his stunt double unintentionally leaked this, which implies that Thor is involved with this scene, which doesn't come as any surprise to me, and most of you probably as well, because at some point in time, you'd imagine that Thor has to run into this Loki that we've been following since Loki season 1. That's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to the most. Thor seeing what his brother has done. Granted, it's not exactly the same Loki, it is a variant, but he did come from the timeline, so they'll still probably have somewhat of a brotherly bond. They've also stated that the weird flyer that we got for Doctor Doom looking like Prince is not his final appearance, which is great because I personally did not really like that look. That flyer was for his birthday, which offered us kind of a first look at Doom, but who knows if that's actually going to be a suit in the movie. They state that the stunt double for America Chavez is in the movie, which means America Chavez herself is going to be in the movie. They also stated before that the script wasn't done when principal photography began, but the studio had a clear idea for their set pieces and were trying to figure out the logistics of what actors would be available at what times. And this went on to be confirmed by Rebecca Romaine and also by Alan Cumming. And of course, we know the script wasn't complete, but it is nice to know that of course they had the kind of general idea about what the story was going to be. And based on everything we've heard, they finished the script as they were filming. So as of right now, everything should be done because they just wrapped filming. But of course, they'll come back and do some reshoots. They probably have those scheduled already. They also say that Shang-Chi is a part of Sam's team, which makes sense because Shang-Chi in the post-credit scene of his film met with Wong, Bruce Banner, and Captain Marvel, and we know that Bruce Banner is most likely going to be on Sam's team, which means Captain Marvel and Wong as well. Plus, it doesn't make sense for Shang-Chi to join the Thunderbolts. They also did say that Chris Hemsworth apparently filmed some stuff in secret away from the rest of the cast, which is most likely for that TVA sequence, which points more towards him seeing his brother, Loki. Again, super stoked about that. So all of those things he said in Reddit, which seemingly now have all been confirmed. So it seems to point that this person really does have a legitimate source, or maybe they are simply the source themselves. Maybe they're on set. So we can visit some other things they have said that hasn't been confirmed yet, with a pretty decent probability that the stuff is going to be accurate. So they state July 20th, there were certain key Marvel figures that visited the set early into production. Chris Evans was one of them. So of course, right after this, we started to hear just a ton about Chris Evans being on set with Haley Atwell and filming certain scenes where Doom comes to visit him in that timeline where he goes back in time at the end of Avengers Endgame. This is just further proof that that is true. On August 24th, they stated that there is evidence suggesting that both Wanda Maximoff and Lauren Kinney will be in the movie. So the Scarlet Witch and X-23. And we just recently heard a report about Wanda being a variant from the X-Men universe and Avengers Doomsday. So we didn't really hear much about Wanda before, but now it's kind of looking like she is gonna be in the movie. Fingers crossed. They also stated that Tobey Maguire's stunt double was involved in filming a scene. However, they did state that sometimes doubles for one actor can be doubles for another actor of a similar frame. However, recently Tobey Maguire was seen in London, very close to Pinewood Studios, so this could severely hint that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is going to return in the movie. And that's all for Avengers Doomsday. We'll now go into what they've said about Spider-Man Brand New Day. They've stated, contrary to pre-delay speculation, the film is not set between Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, this was apparently reported before the release dates got changed. And I think they actually changed the release dates so they could have Spider-Man be in the MCU, all the events happening in that film before Doomsday, because it just makes everything easier for Spider-Man to happen before rather than in between. Although I think some movies could have worked in between, like Doctor Strange 3, but we'll wait and see. They also state that for Spider-Man Brand New Day, several scenes will be filmed at night, which could lead to some very interesting scenes. We got some really cool night scenes with Spider-Man Brand New Day, specifically when Aunt May died, RIP, and when Spider-Man was on the roof and the other two showed up. They also state that one of director Destin Daniel Cretton's goals is to make Spider-Man move more like an arachnid, similarly to how things were approached in the TASM movies. And at this point in time, this was posted on August 8th, but at this point in time, we do know that they're filming everything pretty practically. And last but certainly not least, there is a female villain in the movie who has a prominent role. Peng Zhang was put in charge of the big chase sequence filming in Scotland, while Destin Daniel Cretton is busy filming indoor scenes at Pinewood Studios, including a night scene involving web swinging and a fight, Peter's apartment, and a scene set in jail. And that jail sequence, we've basically heard at this point in time that is Scorpion getting out of jail, somebody busting him out. And a lot of people are speculating who the female villain could be. Could it perhaps be somebody like Black Cat, who isn't a true villain? Or will it be somebody that is a true villain? And it's actually interesting because we still don't know who the main villain for Spider-Man Brand New Day is yet. We know a lot about the film, but not who the main villain is going to be. We've heard from insiders that eventually they want to get to Kingpin and Venom and probably do a Sinister Six movie, a real Sinister Six movie down the road, but for this film, we don't know. Apparently it's not Mr. Negative and it's not Kingpin. Could they be keeping it a really big secret and it be somebody like Norman Osborn perhaps? We'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, let me know what you think about all this news that we discussed today and let me know who you'd like to see be the main villain of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Leave your thoughts down below and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news. Please give this video a like and you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.